very excited about this evening because we have Mr. James Potter with us. And just before I start, James has got a lot to talk about, but since I've met James, I've met, through him, some of the most fascinating people I've met in my entire life through James's understanding of what I'm trying to do, what would be interesting for me to connect with, who I'd be interested to connect with, and also what might come out of it. And just that simple learning I've had from it has been absolutely phenomenal, and it causes me to reflect on the network here. We're just coming up 9 years old this year, the network. Very much in the same way that we've tried to do this through the network. Sometimes it's not always possible for everyone to come together for an event, and that's what's so exciting about networking and the topic that James is going to talk about this evening. So it remains me just to thank Grant Thornton, who are very kindly sponsors of the network. And also, at the end of in just about over an hour, we're going to have some canapes and some wines. I hope you'll stay and join us for a bit of chat afterwards. And for your diaries, the next event is on virtual reality, and it is on the 8th of May, Monday the 8th of May, if you want to tuck that date away in your diaries. So without further ado, Mr. James Potter.
You're very kind clapping, but I haven't said anything yet. Always amazes me. The challenge that I have when I come and talk at an event about LinkedIn is actually what to talk about. Because there's so much to LinkedIn, most people don't realise what's actually under the lid. So I'm going to try and compress the 4 days that I can teach you LinkedIn into about 55 minutes. All right, so I'm going to talk quite quickly. I'll apologise in advance. All right, and I'm going to give you some links at the end to make you think a bit differently as well. But what I thought I'd talk about is actually seeing how many of you are actually human beings on LinkedIn. All right, but I thought I'd start with some nice simple questions, if I may, because I like making life as easy as I possibly can. First of all, I've got to make the technology work, which is always good for a laugh, because I hate technology. So, quick show of hands for me. Hand up if you actually talk to people in real life. Oh, there's a couple of people that haven't. That's quite interesting. Okay, good. Who knows some nice people? Okay, excellent. Good, good. We're doing well. Okay, let's see the next one. Who goes networking? I have to say, I find the concept of networking fascinating. It's like we've got some sort of networking pants that we put on at home. Because we're going networking, we put our networking pants on. And then we go and talk to people. Which I find quite odd, because I tend to talk to people all the time. I'm terrible like that. I don't understand it. Who's actually on LinkedIn? All right, different question. Who's not on LinkedIn? Oh, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Okay, excellent. So quick show of hands for me. Who's on Twitter? Keep your hand up for me if you actually tweet. That's always fascinating. Okay, quick show of hands for me. Who's on Facebook? Excellent. I'm glad to see I'm not the only one not on Facebook. Marvellous, thank you very much. So can I quickly get some social media strategy in here for you straight away? For those of you that are on Twitter or Facebook, please do not do anything that you would do on Twitter or Facebook on LinkedIn, for goodness sake. It's not the same. It works differently. Goodness me. Let's move on. When you said you were talking to people, can I just double check? Have you ever been talking to somebody about the good things that you're doing, the excellent things going on in the world, the things that are impacting your life, and their response to you is to go? Have you ever had that in a business event? No? So who likes stuff on LinkedIn then? Come on. Who's liking things? I don't like LinkedIn like that. In business, if someone says we're doing something fabulous, we say something. We say, well done, or I'm glad you're doing well. Like a human being might do if we were facing somebody. Do you think going forward on LinkedIn, I can get you to do some of this unusual behaviour? Like you would do face-to-face with the person that you're interacting with. Do you think you could do some of that for me going forwards? A bit less of the like and a bit more of the talk to people, really. Think could you give that a go? You'll find LinkedIn will work much better if you talk to people. Because the problem with LinkedIn is that most people treat it like this. I go on LinkedIn, I connect with all the people that I know and don't know, and then to make it work, I do this. And I wonder why the only attention I get is recruitment consultants and life coaches. Now, how many times have you said, isn't it a small world this year? A few? Yeah, you all heard the theories of 6 degrees of separation, yeah? Well, that's old hat now. They've updated the research. We are down to 3.5 or 3.7 relational hops to get to anybody on the planet now. Depending on which academic institution you believe, it's 3.5 or it's 3.7, all right? The world has officially got smaller, and the reason it's got smaller is because of this online stuff. Because now it's so easy to look people up. Now, quick show of hands for me. Who thinks LinkedIn's a job site? It's actually their commercial model is based entirely on recruitment, all right? 68% of LinkedIn's annual income comes from recruitment, all right? But it's not a job site. Hands up if you think LinkedIn is social media, please. No, it's not. Sorry, it's not social media. LinkedIn is, in fact, a social network. Do you all know the difference between a social network and social media? Do you want a demonstration? Yeah. OK, Tony, who's got the most money here that I should talk to over a coffee? Don't answer, you'll be OK. A social network is about people that you really know in real life that you can talk to, all right? And actually, the more of the nice people that you know in real life that you talk to, that you are connected to on LinkedIn, it will probably work much better for you, if I'm honest. So at this point, please be reflecting on the fact if you're connected to people that you don't know, they might be the first to die. On LinkedIn. I do not want to read about murders in Oxford after tonight, please. So people use LinkedIn for all sorts of stuff. Anybody on LinkedIn to use like an address book to keep their contact details up together? Yeah. A lot of people start there. One word of caution for you, if you do want to keep your contact details up together, please make sure you've got a phone number in the phone number box on your LinkedIn profile, because then people can, well, phone you. It's often the easiest way to start a conversation is to pick up the phone and talk to people. Bit tricky if you don't have a phone number. How about keeping in touch with people? Anybody keeping in touch with people on LinkedIn? 5 of you. 6. Oh, right, we're going up, maybe 10. OK, anybody on LinkedIn for networking? Trying to find some nice people? A few of you, OK, good. Anybody doing selling stuff on this LinkedIn malarkey? Right, marketing, bit of that. OK. Procurement people. Oh, just for the record, the procurement people are the most scariest audience I've ever trained on LinkedIn. I've trained spies, foreign governments, bits of the army. The people that scare me the most on LinkedIn are procurement people. They use LinkedIn in ways that you would never have thought of. You know, if you've got your home address in your contact details box, yeah, they're looking at your house on Street View, seeing what sort of car you drive. Street View's not that accurate, could be the house opposite. People doing due diligence checks, credibility checks, banks, VCs, insurance companies, even casinos are doing due diligence checks on LinkedIn profiles. It's quite scary. Oh, jobs, got to say jobs, of course. LinkedIn's research say that only 20% of LinkedIn's users are looking for or could be coerced into a new role. All right, that's their own research. So that means the other 80% of the users of LinkedIn are like us, really. They're just there to try and meet some nice people, hopefully. Just for the record. Oh, and there's a few more things, like, you know, people are starting to complain on LinkedIn. This is a new trend we've spotted. You know, why would I speak to a telephone salesperson when I can actually send an email to the chief executive? It's a new trend creeping in. Now, I've got a question, the keeping in touch with thing, because I know that you're all doing this, yeah? When you connect with somebody, you read their profile and commit it all to memory, don't you? Yeah, as we all expect them to do it to us. And then we maintain those relationships by keeping in touch with people on a regular basis, yeah? Or do we just connect with them and... I don't understand why no one talks to me. Why does nobody remember what I do for a living or fall at my feet and give me money? It's because you don't talk to them enough. Talking to people's the future. We don't do it enough. So, why does this LinkedIn stuff matter? Has anybody ever Googled somebody? Ever Googled yourself? Yeah? Can you remember where your LinkedIn profile comes? Top. Yeah, I've got quite a famous doppelganger, all right? I'm a wizard's dad, all right? My name's James Potter, all right? Get the joke in early. My LinkedIn profile's not top 3, so I'm cool with that. It's about 8s. I'm all right. And the reason for that is because Reese Hoffman that started LinkedIn used to be board exec at Google. Google indexes your entire LinkedIn profile, every single word. That's why it comes up so high. Now, you know I said it was a small world, and the relationships are getting closer and closer. Well, our ability to get around the world is getting easier as well. In fact, I can get to Germany quicker than I can get to Oxford, and I only live in Southampton. Also, our ability to look people up's got ever so much easier now as well. Yeah? I can look at all of your profiles on LinkedIn. I can look at what you've all said in public on LinkedIn. And so can everybody else. Even as we're sat here tonight, someone's going to be looking at your profile going, can they really help me? Do they really do this stuff? What have they said? What have other people said about them? Do I phone them in the morning or don't I? And they make a judgment based on your profile. Hands up who's happy with their profile on LinkedIn. 1, half, 2.5, 3, 4, 5 1/4, 6. That's quite worrying, really, isn't it? Let's move on quickly. So I thought I'd have a little look how many people are actually in Oxford on LinkedIn. So how many people do you reckon in Oxford are on LinkedIn? 20,000? No, you're a bit light, I'm afraid. It's only 188,045. I did do that this morning, so there's probably a few more by now. But I don't know about you, but I don't like talking to anyone. I like talking to someone in a good role, someone senior, someone that's a director and above, someone that, oh, there's too many of them as well. 47,003 people that are directors and above in Oxford. Do you want to know the top 5 industries in Oxford on LinkedIn? It's quite interesting. This number 1, research. No great surprises. Coming in at number 2, information technology and associated services. Coming in at number 3, higher education. Local weighting. Coming in at number 4, automotive. That surprised me. And creeping in at number 5 is publishing. Yeah? But it gets quite interesting. So if I start looking at director and above, it changes. Number 1 is information technology and services. Number 2 is construction. Number 3 is education management. Number 4 is research. And number 5 is management consultants to tell the other 4 how to do it. And that's just looking at the different levels of LinkedIn and how these things change depending on what you look at. Now, I want to give a special mention to the 2,168 people that play golf in Oxford. I didn't notice any golf courses when I walked from the train station to here. Is there? Oh. I wonder how many of you have got a life outside of work that you haven't talked about on LinkedIn. You know, some of that, what's it called again? Personality. That's what I was thinking about, personality. Any of you got that on your LinkedIn profile? Yeah. Excellent. Now, let's mention the 293 managers that can't spell managers in Oxford. How about the 16 professionals that can't spell professional? And my personal favourite, the 4 accountants. They're very good with numbers, less good with words. Oh, LinkedIn doesn't have a spell check, by the way. Did I forget to mention that? It's not as funny as the chef executive that you've got in Oxford. The chief executive that can't spell chief. Oh dear, never going to find him. Moving on. How long do you reckon it took me to find all that information for you? Half an hour? Nah, 47 seconds. Now, I did have a slight advantage. I know my way around this stuff. It's also worth pointing out that everything I'm going to show you and talk to you about today, you can do for free on LinkedIn. I'm not using any paid stuff today. This is all free stuff, all right? So, how much time do you all spend on LinkedIn? Come on, tell me, how much time do you all spend on LinkedIn? None is a perfectly acceptable answer, by the way. Hour a day, right? About half an hour a day. Half an hour a day? About an hour? What about 10 minutes a day? 10 minutes a month, that's fine. There's no reason to do these things until there's a reason to do these things. Absolutely, I agree with that. How much time do you think I spend on LinkedIn? Too much. You see, this is where my life gets really funny, because most of you spend more time on LinkedIn than I do. I spend about an hour a week. I spend about 5 minutes a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and about 45 minutes on a Friday, and that's it. LinkedIn is a bit like the exercise bicycle that you all bought and stuck in the garage and never use. There's a beautiful bicycle parked in the corner of the garage gathering dust, whilst I complain that I am not getting fit, and it's the bicycle's fault. LinkedIn is the bicycle in the garage that you've bought that you don't use. A little bit of steering, a little bit of pedaling, preferably in the right direction, and it will work wonders for you. LinkedIn is just doing the right stuff repeatingly good. That's it. Nothing complicated. Just knowing where to put the effort. Now, this is Reid Hoffman that started LinkedIn, very obviously American. Now, the important things to know about Reid, he's a very smart chap. He's also incredibly rich now. I think he got 2.6 billion when they sold it to Microsoft. Poor chap. I'm sure he's not happy, though. Now, back in 2002, he came up with a concept to effectively and efficiently interconnect the globe's professionals. All right, that's what gave birth to LinkedIn. A couple of years ago, they updated the mission statement for their personal gain, crept on the end, because they suddenly realised that these users of LinkedIn wanted something out of it. It's currently sat on about 470 million users globally, all right? Now, I love this statistic because, you know, I sat on stage recently with a Facebook expert who said, oh, Facebook's got 2 billion users on the planet. I thought, brilliant. 2 in 7 people on the planet are on Facebook. Wow, and I'm not one of them. I wonder how many business professionals there are on the planet. So I did some deep research using Google. The best guesses I can find are somewhere between 350 and 850 million business professionals on the planet. All right, so we can safely say that the 350 million is wrong, and there's at least half of them on LinkedIn now, which is quite scary. Now, it's still growing at a fair old pace. It's still getting 2 new users a second. All right, so it gets about 1 million a week. Currently, the UK is just under 23 million, fractionally. And the UK is the 4th largest global audience for LinkedIn, behind the US where it started, India where they have more people than us. We got overtaken by Brazil about a year, 18 months ago. They have a faster growing economy and more people than us, and we creep in 4th, all right? So, some things you won't know about LinkedIn. LinkedIn went live on the 5th of May, 2003. LinkedIn is actually one of the oldest mainstream social platforms out there. LinkedIn themselves, last time they checked, which is back in 2011, so this statistic is very old, they only passed 1.8 billion referrals in 2011. LinkedIn is the biggest referral engine on the planet that nobody uses properly. 165,000 chief executives in the UK, 3.3 million chief executives globally, but I want to give a special mention to the 135 chef executives in the UK, the chief executives that can't spell chief. But, you know, overall, we're better than the rest of the world because the rest of the world has 2,315 chef executives. Obviously, it's more prevalent outside the UK. Now, a little bit of LinkedIn's research 3.5, 4 years ago now. They said that 95% of LinkedIn's users don't know how to use LinkedIn. Sadly, I don't think that's changed. I would also include most of LinkedIn's staff in that as well, got to be honest. They're very good at telling you how to give LinkedIn money. Less good about how to use it to put money in your own pockets, I've noticed. That's because they live in a different reality to the rest of us. If I looked at the top 500 companies by fortune rating, by FTSE rating, almost the Nikkei 250, they are all on LinkedIn without exception. And what throws marketing people all over the world is it's not about the company. Watch the look of fear in marketing people's faces. It's not about the company, it's not about the brand. It's all about the people. People make LinkedIn work, not companies. Despite that, there are 11.2 million organizational profiles on LinkedIn. Companies do have profiles on LinkedIn. It is important, but they are more likely to stop you losing a client than gain one. All right? It's all about you and what you say. LinkedIn back in Q1 2016 had 45 billion profile views, roughly 15 billion profile views per quarter. Whether we like it or not, people are going to look at us. It's that natural human curiosity creeping in. But it's not the most used functionality on LinkedIn. I'll come back to that one a little bit later on. Hands up if you haven't got a photograph on your LinkedIn profile. I can't help but notice none of you have cardboard boxes on your heads. Look what I've got to work with. and I have a photograph, all right? Now, the reason for that is because you're 21 times more likely to be looked at on LinkedIn if you have a photograph, and that's because people generically don't think you're serious if you don't have a photograph, all right? So just watch out for that one. I'm going to give you some examples of photographs later to have a laugh at, all right? Bit of research done by eConsultancy. Can't remember the exact name. It's August or October 2013 they delivered this. They did some research across Europe, all of the main corporate websites across Europe, and they tracked where did the traffic start for a year. Now, I was quite interested in this because we all assume it's going to be Google, don't we? Yeah? Google the biggest search engine, yeah? No, it's not, just for the record. There's more searches done on the social media platforms every day now than there is done on Google. Even I was quite surprised with this research when they delivered it. 64% of all corporate web traffic started inside of LinkedIn. And this is where someone's clicked on the website link in your profile, on the website link in what you said on LinkedIn that day. May even be you've shared something into a group on LinkedIn. Oh, who's in groups on LinkedIn? Oh, what sort of groups are you in? Excellent. You're obviously well in there, sir. Yeah? What sort of groups are you all in?
Well, I started this group, so I've got this group.
This group. Excellent. There's a group for this group. Did you know there's a group for this group? Have you all joined the group for this group? Is a group thinking about this group and you could join the group while you're here? What sort of groups are you in?
Business awards.
Business awards. Excellent. What sort of groups are you all in inside? Past company groups. All right, no worries. Top 3 industries on LinkedIn in the UK by direct account and above. Construction, IT, financial services. They are the top 3 industries in the UK. Who thought it was going to be recruitment? Just for the record, if you were nerdy enough to look at the top 75 cities on LinkedIn in the UK, recruitment isn't a top 3 industry in any of them. But I'm sure none of you would be that nerdy. Just me. So, 1.5 million groups on LinkedIn. Now, the fascinating thing with groups on LinkedIn, the average user of LinkedIn is in 6 groups, all right? Now, one of the things I've noticed is they're in 6 groups full of people that look like them. Hands up for me if you're an accountant. All right, I'm a reformed accountant, I'm okay. There is 8,800 groups on LinkedIn for accountants, and they are all full of accountants, looking at other accountants, wondering why no one's buying their accountancy. And you all join groups full of people that look like you because it's comfortable. And then we wonder why people don't interact with us, because they do what we do. Who joined a LinkedIn group to learn something new and innovative? Yeah. Okay, I have only one question for you. If you discover something new and innovative that's going to give you a competitive advantage, hands up for me if the first thing you're going to do is run into a LinkedIn group and post it. No? Oh, just a thought. Moving on. If I looked at the top 5 groups on LinkedIn, there are 5.5 million people in those top 5 groups. All right? If you just want to get your message out there, join the 5 groups, start a discussion, take you about 30 seconds of time, and you too can be in front of 5.5 million of potentially the wrong people in 2.5 minutes. All right? If you just want to get your message out there, that's the way to go. I wouldn't go that way. Just over 40% of LinkedIn's users log in every day, predominantly on the mobile phone. About 60% of LinkedIn's users are on the mobile phone, and they are using the most used functionality. Who's viewed my profile? I think it says a lot about the human race, that one. We're more interested in who's looked at us than in looking at other people. Fascinating. It's also one of my biggest frustrations with users of LinkedIn. I meet people and they go, James, so-and-so looked at me. Brilliant. What did you do? Nothing. Hi, looking at you. Hello, hello. Hey. Oh, I'll go then. If someone's looked at you, there's a reason why. Try talking to them. Perish the thought. Average age of a user on LinkedIn, 45. I know we're all 25 and under. We represent 9% of LinkedIn's audience in the UK. 9%. But yet all this social stuff is apparently done by the young people. The number of lawyers that I meet, and I talk to them about what they do with LinkedIn, it's always done by a young lady in the corner, I've noticed. It's fascinating. I'm sure they know lots of clients. Moving on. LinkedIn, it's big, it's global, it's in 200 countries. You can get around a lot with it. Everybody knows lots of nice people, all right? Can you please make sure you're connected to the nice people that you know? So, if I had to explain LinkedIn, this is me, obviously, it's the hair. At this point, it all goes rapidly downhill. I am connected to Tony, who I appear to have now resexed. Sorry, Tony. You are a level 1 connection. You are special because you're a level 1 connection. You, sir, if you were connected to Tony, you'd be a second level connection. You would be a third level connection. LinkedIn gives me 3 degrees of separation. That is my network as far as LinkedIn is concerned. Now, hopefully, you all say you work for the company that you work for, and you have therefore associated your company profile with you as an individual. If you're not sure, company logo should be beside your job description, or you've not done it quite right. Now, all those awkward users of LinkedIn can look at you, and you almost can't stop them. If any of you have proper stalkers, now I mean proper stalkers, talk to me afterwards, there is some functionality for you. And they can also look at your company profile, and you can't stop them. And they can also follow your company profile, and you can't stop them. But you might have noticed that lots of companies don't have that many followers. Now, the reason for this is because LinkedIn's research says that only 10% of these people that know you actually find your company interesting. That's because they find you interesting, not your company. So if only you said something, you'd have more impact, probably, than your company. Now imagine if everybody in the company said something. Oh, better talk about groups. Once you join a group on LinkedIn, you can see everybody else that's in the group on LinkedIn, which is kind of cool, if the groups that you join are full of people that you find interesting. If you know what you're doing, you can also send a message to people in the group, and it's free. Who'd have thunked it? There's also private groups on LinkedIn. It's like the film Fight Club. You only know about a private group if someone invites you to a private group. They do not appear in Google. All the discussions in the private group are only shared with other members of the private group. Nobody talks about private groups. But they're great if you've got customers, members of a group, you're trying to keep private communities with a gate around them so they're nice and safe and looked after, that sort of stuff. Private groups can be really cool. Anybody got recommendations on LinkedIn where someone's written you're a fabulous person and you've done some great work? Anybody got any of those? Right, come on the rest of you. What? You do good stuff, don't you? Have you just not thought to ask people? You know, next time someone says, thanks, that was brilliant, just go, well, you couldn't write me a recommendation on LinkedIn, could you? You'll be amazed what people write. It's quite shocking for some people. It's like, oh my God, I never knew I was good at that stuff. So do ask people, all right? Now, a bit of context for LinkedIn, and if you take nothing else away from today's talk, please remember this. LinkedIn is like, well, coming here, actually. It's like coming here. It's like going to a big networking event where you know half the people in the room. Now, the important context here is it's a business networking event, and you know half the people in the room. Now, if you'd say it in this room, when you could be overheard by half a room full of people that you don't know, you can say it on LinkedIn. If you wouldn't say it in a room like this, don't say it on LinkedIn, all right? Now, if I come back briefly to something I said earlier on today, has anybody this evening been asked to solve a maths problem? No? Anybody been shown a video of a dancing kitten? Then don't do it on LinkedIn, all right? Moving on. LinkedIn is word of mouth on steroids. By default, everything you do on LinkedIn will be shared with your network connections, all right? So if I write Tony a recommendation saying he's a fabulous chap, and he accepts it, it tells all of my network connections what I've said about Tony, and when Tony tells all of Tony's connections what I've said about him. How about that for some positivity? Now imagine just for a moment, I mistakenly connect to somebody that's a Pratt. It tells the entire Pratt's network that I am connected to them, and tells my entire network that I am connected to a Pratt. That is less positive. So please be careful about who you connect to, please, yeah? I'm sure you're not connected to any Pratts, are you? Oh, let's move on. Now, one of the big shifts in LinkedIn, if we go back about 2.5 years ago, if you were trying to find someone good, you'd look them up on LinkedIn and you'd just simply read their profile and you'd make a decision about if you were going to or not. And that was it. We just read the poster that was their profile, and that was that. And about 18 months ago, people realized that actually we could lift the cover up and see what was underneath. What have they said? Has what they've said actually matched what is on the cover? Now, a lot of people got exposed at that point. Now, there's been a new shift coming on as well. Who's got some endorsements on LinkedIn? Yeah, that sort of tick box game thing. Okay, good. About 9 months ago, we saw it first, where someone would phone up someone that had endorsed the person we were thinking about working with. So if Tony's endorsed you for doing what you do, what is it you do, sir? Sorry?
Smart metering.
Smart metering, excellent. So if I wanted to buy some smart metering and Tony had endorsed you for smart metering, I would phone Tony and go, Tony, I see that you're connected to that fine chap that talks about smart metering. Is he good at this smart metering stuff? And all I'm doing is looking at who's endorsed you. I'm taking a reference up for an individual skill by phoning somebody. I know. I'm so old school. I still phone people. So do lots of other people, actually, which is quite disturbing when you think about all those people that have endorsed you for stuff. Quite a worry, that one. You'll manage those things. So, we all talk, because you said to me before you all talk, so I just want to check you're doing this on LinkedIn. If someone looks at you haven't seen for 6 months, you say, it's nice to see you, thanks for looking at my profile. Perhaps from tomorrow. From tomorrow we could do this. Oh, that's interesting, thank you for sharing that. As opposed to, did you know we've done? Do you tell people what you're up to? You've surrounded yourself with all these lovely people that you know, and to communicate the great value, the great innovation, the great things that you're doing, talk to people. It really is the future now, this talking to people stuff. I think it could catch on. Congratulations on the new job. Do you do that? Please tell me you don't say congrats. That's a template. We all know. I've been hit with the template again. We all know it's a template. Yeah? What would you say if you met the person? Would you say congrats on the new gig? Is that your personal style? Just checking. Do you tell people what you're up to? Just like you bump into people here, you tell them what you're up to. It's been fascinating talking to some of you. Some people have even gone, oh, I know someone that does that, I can help. I never knew that you knew that chef executive. You couldn't introduce me, could you? He's looked at me, hello. Or are you stood in the corner, facing the corner, wondering why no one's talking to you? You should try talking to people. It'll really help. But let's move on. If you don't talk to people on LinkedIn, this is what you look like. I'm terribly sorry, this person's dead. They have nothing to say. Now, the irony for me is they're in a networking company, which I just found funny. I have hidden the name and the face just to protect the innocence in his case. Everything you say on LinkedIn in public is visible, all right? Just bear that in mind, all right? So, LinkedIn works on 3 principles. First one, relationships make the world go round, not money. You need to have good relationships with people. And for me, that's very simple. I like to know the people that I know. Are they nice people? What are they doing? What's their personality? What's their style? Where are they trying to get to? I've also got to like people. Now, you're welcome to steal this idea, all right? I have a very simple pricing model. I double it for people I don't like. If I really don't like it, I treble it. And the funny thing is, sometimes they still buy it. And I can deliver it with a smile. An extra coffee when I go home. I've also got to trust people. I'm always introducing nice people that I know to other nice people that I know, where there's an opportunity for them to help each other out. Now, you'll notice I'm talking about relationships, and I'm talking about LinkedIn and knowing, liking, and trusting people, and I very carefully haven't used the word connection, because the connection's not a relationship, it's just a bit of data. It's kind of pointless if you don't know the person. In fact, it's quite risky, because, you know, if you're going to open up a door to somebody, don't make it a big one. Second principle to making LinkedIn work is to remember that connections are, in fact, terrible people. Even the people that you know are, in fact, terrible people. We all forget, because we're terribly busy doing what we do. We forget about you. And you don't remind us about you and what you do and the people you find interesting, and perish the thought why I might want to talk to you. You're all very carefully slipping into the background on LinkedIn and becoming part of the wallpaper. None of you are beige. Please do something about it. Third principle making LinkedIn work, people will help you if you ask. Now, this is why SatNav is such a big seller. You're connected to hundreds of lovely people that you know, who in turn know hundreds of lovely people. And if you said, oh, you couldn't introduce me, could you? Amazing things happen. Sometimes the amazing thing is they go, no, you don't want to meet them. They're a brat. I had one 6 months ago go, James, you don't want to meet them. They don't pay their bills. First time I've ever had that. It was great. I bought that man a coffee. But much more likely they'll go, of course I will. Why? People will always help if you ask, especially if you know the people, right? And that's making LinkedIn work. Know the people you know, don't forget to talk to people, and people will help if you ask. Try asking. Oh, let's move on. Making this stuff work, all right? Now, results on LinkedIn depends what people want. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's people to remember them, sometimes it's to be perceived as rocket scientists, even if they aren't. And one bit of LinkedIn which consistently comes up is people's profiles. People think LinkedIn's all about having a good profile, right? Now, to me, having a good profile is a bit like coming to a networking event like this and looking appropriate, yeah? So I've come out this evening, I have put on the suit and the tie, yes? Now, if I came to this event and did this, would anybody actually talk to me? Or would they ignore me? Or think I was a prat? Or in need of some sort of mental therapy? No, you have to actually talk to people to make this stuff work and engage with the people that you know that talk to you or look at you, you know, just like you would do in a room full of people. You've also got to make sure you connect to all the nice people that you know. No prats, right? Just nice people. Now, I wanted to write in the box here, don't forget the people that you know, but I couldn't fit it in, so I wrote CRM, Customer Relationship Management. But basically, don't forget the people that you know, all right? A good activity on a train trip, for example, look back through all those LinkedIn connections, right? Just to make sure you still recognise who they are and that you could talk to them, all right? So it's a good step. I actually think the hardest bit of LinkedIn is actually working out who you want to meet. So, as I picked on Mr. Smart Meter, what sort of people would you like to meet, sir?
Potential customers.
And who is a customer?
An energy supplier.
An energy supplier. And who in the energy supplier is likely to give you money? What sort of job titles?
Commercial director.
And what sort of outlook? Do you want them to be innovative or entrepreneurial? Because we can look for all that stuff on LinkedIn. If only we thought about it in such a way. That would be cunning, wouldn't it? Job titles, industries, industry segments, company names, behavioural outlook, words in profiles, are levels of relationship to them. It's all there. And it's all free. Use it. And then do stuff, all right? A bit like pedaling the bicycle, yeah? I want to see you pedaling it in the right direction, a little bit of steering in the right direction, and it'll do wonderful things. But there's also a couple of byproducts that happen. People start to actually trust you. Have you ever had a meeting with someone that you want to work with or might be a client and they've gone, it's not the right time? Any of you had that experience? I'm doing a lot of work in the insurance industry at the moment, and it's never renewal time. Whenever they meet somebody, it's never renewal time. But they keep in touch with people. And the problem with keeping in touch with people is you've always got to find an excuse, all right? It's a bit like accountants that send you Christmas cards to remind you that your tax return is due in January. And none of us see through it. But if you're connected to people on LinkedIn and someone writes you a recommendation, they're going to see it. Someone else saying you're good at stuff. If you start putting on LinkedIn what you're actually doing, the sorts of people that you're meeting in an appropriately vague way, never name a client, it's the internet, the sorts of industries you're working with, the sorts of outcomes you're bringing for people, the sorts of things that you're driving, people will start to actually read this stuff, funny enough, and they'll start to believe you're good at it because you've written it down. But the problem is, who is going to see it and who's going to be interested? And I always get this question, people say, oh, how many connections should I have? And it's very simple. Think of it this way. The less connections that you have, the better the level of relationship, the more chances you're going to talk to each other and they're going to remember you and send nice people your way. But there's a problem. Have you ever looked somebody up on LinkedIn or looked at their profile and gone, oh, they know 2 people that I know that are really nice people? And you immediately think that person is probably a nice person because they know nice people. On LinkedIn, that's called secondary search visibility. Now, there's a problem that creeps in here, because the more nice people I'm connected to, the better my visibility is, the less level of people I'm connected to, the better the chance for referrals are. Dichotomy. I want you to be this place in the middle, all right? If you take one action away from today, when you get home, I would like you to play Snog, Marry, or Avoid with your LinkedIn connections, okay? So simply look at your LinkedIn connections, right? And if you're looking at someone thinking, oh, they're a lovely lady, I can phone them, they're fabulous, they're in. If you're a lovely chap, I could phone him. Oh, not quite sure about him, then drop him a message. Use me as the excuse by all means. Just starting to get my LinkedIn life together, realise we haven't spoken in ages, let's catch up. If they don't come back to you, take the hint. Oh no, I've connected to that prat. Remove, remove, remove. Never log on to LinkedIn when you come home from the pub. You will accept connections you will regret in the morning. Moving on. More connections are better on LinkedIn as long as you actually know the people. All right? Connections on LinkedIn need to be real. People you can talk to. So in terms of LinkedIn, it's all about you. All right? So it's all about me. It's all about me. It is my profile. It's not my job's profile, by the way. And all those people I connect to, Tony, are special. Level 1 connections are special. If I am connected to Tony, I can see the contact details on his LinkedIn profile. I can see his email address, his phone number. I can see everything he does on LinkedIn. We have no secrets in LinkedIn. I can see all of his connections. I could see your profile if you were connected to him. You're a second level connection, sir. You would creep in at this level here. But I can't see your contact details. I can't see your email address. I can't see your phone number. As long as you put them in the email address box and the telephone number box, I can't see them. And I can't see your activities on LinkedIn that aren't enunciated to an entire room. In other words, public. If you're a third level connection, sir, I'm afraid you're not very special at all in terms of LinkedIn, I'm afraid. I just get your first name, the first letter of your surname, your photograph if you have one, and your professional headline at the top. That's it. Nothing else. That's it. Oh, one quick question. Have you ever connected to a competitor?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Yeah, I'm going to momentarily be your competitor for a moment, sir. If I was at this event and I was your competitor and said, could I have a list of everybody that you know, would you mind giving it to me? Oh!
I made that private.
Oh, you've made it private, so you've hidden your connections.
Yeah.
You know it doesn't work like you think it does, don't you? No. So if Tony's the client you're trying to hide from me, all right, and you've hidden your connections so you're safe, I send you a connection invite, you accept it, yeah? Right. It highlights the connections we share, so I now know he's your client. Oops. Better off hiding them in the volume, yeah? Or just kick the competitors out, it's much easier. But you probably connect to competitors because you want to see what they're doing, yeah?
No, I quite like cooperating with my competitor.
Ah, competition. Ah, right. So the analogy for you, sir, is if I'm your competitor and I meet you for a cup of coffee, could I put 5 business cards on the desk and buy the next round of coffee? If the answer's yes, we collaborate. If the answer's good question, James, remove. Moving on. So here's my network. I am currently connected to 1,840 people. I know every single one of them well enough to pick up a phone and talk to them, otherwise they wouldn't be there. I manage my network ruthlessly. So ruthlessly, I was at an event last week and someone said to me, I'm connected to you. I went, no, you're not. No, I am. No, you're not. No, I am. Look, here's my LinkedIn. Here's you. Second level profile. We're not connected. But I sent you an invite. Yeah. And I replied and said, thanks for asking. Let's have a chat. You didn't come back to me. We're not connected. I don't know what you do. No point. Because they in turn know 1.1 million people. And I know if I pick up the phone to any one of those people that I know, Tony's a good example, said, oh, Tony, I didn't know that you knew the other Tony. You couldn't introduce me, could you? You'd do it, assuming he was a nice chap, which I'm assuming you are, sir. Now, they in turn know a ridiculous 17.4 million people, which gets a bit crazy. Now, where do you reckon my next new client's going to come from? Level 1, level 2, or level 3? 1? Okay. Anybody else got a guess? 2. Go on, someone have 3, we'll have a house. Okay. Think of it this way, all right? I am not connected to anybody that I have not met or spoken to. All right, so I've spoken to people before I connect with them because I don't know if they're nice people or if I want to be associated with them or how I can help them until I speak to them. So they might well be a client, but they might not be, but they won't be new because I've spoken to them. So most of my new clients actually come out at the second level, particularly if they're high up in an organizational structure, because you don't normally get to meet a CEO, for example, by sending them an email. You know, they don't get to read that sort of stuff. If only one of your mates said to that CEO, you're a lovely lady, I should talk to you, then you'd probably meet me for a cup of coffee because someone else said I'm a nice chap. This is where your network can really help you. Quick show of hands for me. Who's connected to their friends and family that don't have useful jobs? Hands up for me. Oh, because we all connect to the people that have useful jobs because we think miraculous things happen, some sort of magic wand that LinkedIn's got, I don't understand. But just connect to nice people that you know. Friends and family are great to connect to. You know, they have a huge emotional investment with you. They'll bend over backwards to help you if you ask. And equally, they know hundreds of nice people that they play sport with, that are their next door neighbours, that they used to work with, or old colleagues, went to university with, that you don't know about. Because when you go for a family gathering or drinks with your mates, you don't go, oh, have you met any commercial directors from utility companies that might buy smart meters this week that are entrepreneurial and innovative? Do you? If only there was a way of looking at who these people could be. Let's move on. So, how to talk to people on LinkedIn, quite important. This box at the top where it says share an article, photo, or update. That's the best way, all right? That's talking to people on LinkedIn. Whatever you type in that box will appear on the homepage like this in front of everybody that they know. So this is Sue that I know, and she's talking about wanting to get some Neds for her charity, all right? Now, writing an article on LinkedIn is a bit like writing a blog post, all right? Please do not duplicate what you've written on your blog onto LinkedIn. Very, very bad. Don't do it, all right? Just don't do it. I do a status message every day on LinkedIn because I talk to people every day on LinkedIn. I write an article about every 6 to 8 weeks because I've got to think about it and I've got to write it and I've got to craft it and I've got to think about the headline and a nice image and it's hard work and not that many people read them. That's because only 60% of your connections see it in the first case. So, you know, you're much better off doing this than you are doing this. And now, if you're seeing these updates from people that you know, you could always do something with them. You could interact with them. You could like them, or you could comment on them, or you could share it with your network if you're trying to get the message out to help that organisation. Now, what to say? I love asking people this question. If I asked you what to say on LinkedIn, you'd all go, say something. What? Really? Now? No, I've got to think about it. I can't say something now. Have you ever met someone on a train that you know and said, what are you up to? It's lovely to see you. And they go, hang on, I've got to think of something. I must think of something clever, witty or viral before I can respond to you. No, hang on. I'm doing this. No, that's not real. You just talk to people. Your LinkedIn updates are going to people that you know. They know what you're like. I don't want you to go all stoic and British and create upward spirals of incremental value for maximum P on exit. If that's not how you talk, mate. Yeah, just talk like you talk on LinkedIn. We all know it's you. Now, the problem is if you don't say anything on LinkedIn, hello, all the lovely people that I know that have goodwill and investments in me to get my message out about what I'm doing. I say nothing. I hide in the corner under my jacket and hope that miracle things happen because I'm here. Nope. But I also don't want you to do this and become American and put your underpants on the outside and wear a cape and shout every 5 minutes about how fabulous you are. Because all the users of LinkedIn will just want to punch you. You will get a reputation, but it will not be the one that you want. So, if you're on LinkedIn, you're going to say something. Imagine you're talking to somebody that you know, because on LinkedIn you are, across the desk. What would you say? That's all you got to do. Simple as that. What would you say to someone you met? Now, I won't get you to put your hands up if you're happy with your profile, because I remember the answer from before. Can I just double check, are you actually in it? It's not just all about work, is it? Because that's boring. Nobody would find that interesting. Who gets to interview people in their jobs? Yeah. Now, have you noticed that lots of people have the same skills? So we start interviewing people then based on fit, behaviour, outlook, values, beliefs, all that stuff that's difficult to write down. So consequently, we don't write it down in our LinkedIn profiles. The very reasons that people like working with us, we leave out. We've just done some research on 12,500 profiles on LinkedIn, and 90% of people left their personality outside. All right, the very reasons that people like working with us, we tend to leave out. All right, so please make sure you're in it. Have you used all the words that your clients use? Because your words don't matter. I was working with an executive coach company recently, and they hated being called executive coaches, which is really difficult when someone's going to look for an executive coach. All right, so just think about the words your clients use to try and find you. Have you done it in your own style? Now, some of you are sat there being very analytical, trying to work out if I'm a lunatic or not. Some of you are sat there having a laugh, you're quite emotional. So the analytical ones, your profile will be short, sharp, probably have bullet points in it. The emotional ones, long, wordy, heart on the sleeve, and they're both right. All right, it's just got to be done in your own style. Have you included the value that you give to your clients? For the accountant, thank you very much for putting your hand up earlier on. I love you because you help me focus on the profitable bits of my business, drive down my costs and keep my money in my pocket. Please make sure that's in your profile, sir. Don't just say you're an accountant. We'll stereotype you and put you in a box and back away. The thing I want you to leave you to think about is two things. Is your profile as good as you are? If I only met your profile, would I still call you? Now, the reason I want you to have those two thoughts is between 60 and 80% of the time, someone is looking at your profile and making a decision if they want to call you. So please bear that in mind. It's really important, all right? Just be as good as you are. Now, why do people like working with you? What is it about you that they like? What makes you stand out? So for the accountants, terribly sorry, I know the statistic, 357,000 accountants on LinkedIn in the UK. Why you? Now, I can tell you why you, sir, by the way, because you've got some personality and you're smiling. Very unusual in the accountancy profession. It's not because of your professional badge. It is the way that you do things. Your personality, your style, your values, your outlook, your belief. It's about you, all right? Please make sure you're in your profile. The things that I see people falling into the traps on LinkedIn time after time after time is not thinking about what people look for. People do not go on LinkedIn looking for upward spirals of incremental value. They normally go looking for you as a person, or they go looking for the outcomes that they're trying to bring. Can you please all make sure you've got the word help in your LinkedIn profile? It's quite scary how many times someone will go into LinkedIn and go, I want help with. If the word help's not in there, they're not going to find you. How about talking to people? You know, I'm sure you're all going to get home in LinkedIn, and if you remember nothing else, it's me stood in the corner banging my head on the door. Great. Talk to people, please. I do not want to see you stood in the corner. Why you? Why the business? Why what you do? And is the answer actually in your profile? Let's try and bring the barriers down to people talking to you. Have you used the right words? Are you a consultant that will consult with me in a consultative way using your consultancy capacity about best practice in my organisation as part of your advisory advice? Or are you going to help? Please make sure the words your clients will use are in there. I have been in business for 30 years. I am both old and boring, and I have put it in the first line of my profile so you can tell. Don't do it. Please don't treat it like social media. It's not. All right? I don't want to see you on LinkedIn too much. If you look at someone on LinkedIn and they're there every 5 minutes, they're demonstrating they don't have a job. And if they do have a job, they're not focused on it. Stop! Please, think about your profile. Think about what you're doing. Think about what you're saying. I need you to be there. I need you to act like you. Here's my profile. Look, I look like me. If you read it, it's written like me. I even talk like me. I've even got some media stuff in there because I'm quite clever with that sort of stuff. And then there's my job description, talk about what I do and why I do and how I do and the difference it makes. Anybody shop on Amazon? Do you read the reviews before you buy stuff? Okay. The equivalent of the review on Amazon for you is the recommendation on LinkedIn. And if someone says to you, why you? What would you normally say to them? If they say, can you prove it? What would you say? It's not endorsements on LinkedIn. That never works. That's a bit of a game until you sort it out. Recommendations on LinkedIn are something a bit different. If you want to find good people on LinkedIn, go to the bottom of a LinkedIn profile and look how many recommendations they've got and how many they've given to other people. If you looked at me on LinkedIn, I've written 100 recommendations for other people and I have 2 run away. Also, look how old they are. If I've got a load of recommendations from 2010, you might want to think about whether you still want to work with me in my world, yeah? So just think about that. It's a good way to meet less people. Okay, I thought I'd give you a laugh. I would like the first word that pops up into your head, please. This one. This one. Holiday. This one. Calf pow. Next one. Party. Next one.
Tired.
Captain Pugwash. Now, I'm not sure which person this is. This one. And the winner of the Christmas jumper competition is. This one scares me. This one. This one. This one. This one. He's not on a game show. This one. This one. The pianist has arrived. This one. I'm an alcoholic. This one. Party. This one. I'm worried by this one. depending on which side she's on. And lastly, the documents have arrived. Now, just for your amusement, that is actually directors of a top 5 PLC in the UK. And you stereotyped all those images like that. Now, let's think about your own image. So where you didn't have a profile photograph, sir, this is what you look like. I can't notice. You don't look like you've got a big white box on your head with a grey outline on it. It's just something I casually observe. Also, you do not want an avatar, a gravatar, or a company logo. Statistically, 86% of people don't trust you if they can't see you, all right? Now, people are going to see you when they meet you, all right? So, you know, in the nicest possible way, get over it. Now, what you do have to bear in mind, right, is if you're talking to someone about doing a professional job in a very professional way, and you've convinced them in front of them when you're talking to you, and then they go away and they do their due diligence, they look you up on LinkedIn, and there's a picture of you with a young lady half cut asleep on your head, that may not be the professional image you were looking for. And equally, because it's a nice photograph, my wife says, it doesn't necessarily make it a good profile photograph on LinkedIn. Now, the reason this doesn't make a good profile photograph is quite a few reasons, not just it's got me in it. The procurement people love holiday photographs because they blow them up on the screen and try and work out where you're on holiday, because it gives them an indication of your income. Some people look at a holiday photograph and think you'd rather be on holiday than working, possibly not the image you wanted. So please just look like you look like when you're at work. Think what you look like when you meet a client, meet someone interesting. What would you wear? What would you look like? You know, if you wear the blouse and the cardigan, gentlemen, questions will be asked. If you wear the open neck shirt, the tie, the blouse, the cardigan, whatever it is you normally wear, head, shoulders, normal smile, plain background, take a picture, you look like, all right? Just look like you do. So if I had to give you 10 thoughts to take away, I would say people like you, all right? That's why they like working with you, because of the way you do things. Second thing, LinkedIn's not social media. Please, please, please don't treat it the same way. LinkedIn is actually all about the nice people that you know, because if you concentrate on the nice people that you know, they know a shed load of nice people that they'll introduce you to. Connections, for the point of it, are almost pointless, to be honest. You know, there's no point connecting with someone. It's the biggest failing that I see generically around the world. I'm sure you've all accepted a connection invite from someone in a weak moment and immediately got an email saying, can I sell you something? And I'm sure you've all bought it immediately, yeah? Of course not. Templates prove you don't care. And to prove that, I'd like to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. Do you all feel special? Would you send that to someone else? No, of course you wouldn't, not from tomorrow. Don't shout at people. All right, you're not a shouty bunch. I was talking to a few of you outside. You just talk to people on LinkedIn too. Don't broadcast stuff. We don't all stand in the middle of the room and say, I am fabulous, darlings, and everything that I do. Because everybody just backs away. So don't do it on LinkedIn. Focus on the right people. The right people on LinkedIn are the people that you actually know in real life. They're the ones that make it work for you. And I don't want you just to be present in the room wearing a suit looking the part. I want you to do stuff. Because actually, people like you. Because you're a nice human being. And if you can make it more like a human being, it'll work much better for you. So here's some results that clients have got over the last 18 months, just to give you a laugh. There's all sorts of things in there. My personal favourites, the £125,000 was a one-man band from Ireland that sold industrial racking. Can't make it up. Knick-knack, paddywhack. 22 million was an IT team. 26% of fee income was an insolvency practitioner. That's a fascinating one. This one here, over 400% traffic daily. It's actually a company in China that makes little brushes that go in makeup compacts. China uses LinkedIn. It's the only Western media platform that gets into China, and that's because it brings them money. Simple as that. There's a little bloke runs a software company up the road. There's some of the companies we've worked with. I don't do social media. I confessed to that earlier on. I regularly freak people out on stage and say, I don't do social media. Right, you do LinkedIn. Yeah, it's not the same. Actually, understanding how LinkedIn works is only half of it. LinkedIn's got a view of how the software works over here, and they design that. And then all of us lot over here, we have a different view of what reality looks like, and we tend to do different things. So we tend to research both sides. It makes it much easier. Oh, I've already confessed to being an accountant. I've also should confess to being a management consultant. I'm also trained and certified in 4 different sales disciplines. I've done a course in counselling. And I've got cycling proficiency badge, but that doesn't appear on my LinkedIn profile because it's not professional enough. I've trained LinkedIn in 73 countries so far. It's a small world. Got a few recommendations. If you're bored, read them. We've helped over 100 PLCs in the UK. And all we do is teach people to use LinkedIn. There's 4 of us. We're busy. We have a great laugh. And twice a week, someone asks me what my day job is. It's great. Love it. Anybody got any questions for me? Yeah, go for it.
How do you remove somebody and...
Oh, easy. Can I answer your question with a slightly surreptitious answer?
I was going to ask, how do they know, do they get a message telling them they...
No. What you don't want to do, all right, don't go and look at someone and then remove them. That's bad form. Easiest thing to do, if you jump on my website, very uncreatively, thelinkedinman.com, all right, go to the blog under Resources tab and type in the search box, killer connection, yeah? There's a blog post telling you how to do it. It's on the old version because they keep changing the blooming stuff, but the logic is still the same, it works the same way, all right? Enjoy. It's very cathartic, all right? What you'll find is normally, your network will start over here, it'll go back by about half to a third, yeah, when you take out all the people you don't really know, and then when you add in the friends and the family you didn't think were important, you'll come back to about 75% of what you were at before, but the quality of it is so much better, all right? So go with that.
I should be sure to like your blog.
You're very kind. Next! Yes?
The posts that you get, because you get a lot of posts on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
they're not all from all your connections.
No.
Who are they from? Because there's some really stupid things that you get.
Oh, completely agree. Completely agree.
Who are they posting?
if
And how do you get rid of them?
You can't get rid of them.
Okay.
All right, so if it says promoted or sponsored at the top,
But leaving that aside, there's lots of stuff that people put up there.
lots of stuff that people put up there. The only reason you're likely to see something that's put up there is because somebody that you're connected to has looked it. Right? I take a very simple view on these. I don't get irritated by it. I consider it natural selection. Right? They're the connections to remove.
Well, the ones who do the...
Especially if it's rubbish. It tells you a lot about people, actually. It's quite fascinating now I've said that with you. It's quite an indicator of the human psyche. But yeah, no, the reason it's coming up in your feed is because someone that you know is interacting with it. And you'll normally find it's a recruitment consultant because they love that stuff. Don't do recruitment. Freaks people out. One of my most fun conversations last year was turning down the third largest recruitment company in the UK. I said, come and train us. Nah. Next. All right, go that way, then that way.
You didn't really talk about the business of LinkedIn. What part of LinkedIn's business makes it the most money?
68% of LinkedIn's income comes from recruitment. 24% of LinkedIn's income comes from advertising from people that haven't met me. And the rest of it is from people that pay. All right, the reason why I didn't mention LinkedIn advertising, quick show of hands, please. Please put your hand up for me if you've clicked on an advert in LinkedIn. Oh, done. People don't generally click on adverts in LinkedIn. I click on the adverts of competitors because it cheers me up. I know it costs them £4 a time. The targeting's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But the problem is people don't generally see the adverts. So if you do get some sort of click-through, the quality is normally very good, but it can cost you a lot of money to get there. So not a huge fan of the advertising, I'm afraid. All right? Hang on. David.
I'm getting an increasing amount of getting on for spam coming into my message box from people I'm not connected to, so people who are doing
in-mail messages. Okay, top right-hand side.
There are either recruiters asking me to help them recruit,
Yeah.
or they're trying to improve my website.
Yay. Okay.
Okay.
So first thing, console yourself with the fact it's just got someone $8 to send you that message. All right, then go to the top right-hand side where there's 3 grey dots. Hit the 3 grey dots. Report as spam. No. Enjoy. There's only one message you can't flag as spam, I'm afraid. It's the messages from LinkedIn. Chap in the back with glasses and white shirt.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's fascinating watching how to do LinkedIn. Is there a way to kind of do LinkedIn without really doing LinkedIn?
Can someone else do LinkedIn for you? Is that the question you're trying to get to?
Putting LinkedIn I see all these great advice about being active with LinkedIn, being proactive and investing time in things, which is great.
Yeah.
But what's the best way to kind of put it in a holding pattern, so that you're kind of there, but you're not necessarily...
Does that make your point? You can't really, to be honest. You can't be there and not there. It's too obvious. You know, I was talking to you outside. You're a very personable chap. You've got an opinion on things. You talk about stuff, which is great. You know, you can't tell me you can't find 20 seconds in your day to pull a smartphone out of your pocket and say something. Come on, really? Yeah. You think of how many lawyers I meet, yeah? And they all say, oh, I haven't got time for LinkedIn, James. Okay, cool. If I could save you meeting one prat or idiot a week, would that be cool? Oh, yes. LinkedIn is not only the best way to meet people, it's also the best way to not meet people. Yeah? Because you can look at their profile, see what they've said, find out if they're good at people, talk to the people around them, and then convert them into telephone calls instead. Much quicker. Yeah? So no, I'm afraid you can't. You can't outsource it either. No one can be you as well as you can. We tried it 7 years ago. We failed miserably. It taught us a lot. Yeah, we did it for about 6 months. You can't. So, sorry, but no. Yeah, go for it.
I was going to ask, what, if anything, do we know about Microsoft's plans?
We don't know a lot, actually, at the moment. Very unusually for Microsoft, they're not saying a great deal. We live in hope. I think the reality is that they bought LinkedIn for a reason, and the reason, I suspect, is the data, all right? But I don't think they quite understand the full scale of what they've bought. So a couple of people that I've talked to has been quite fun for me. The day after they bought it, my phone rang a bit from some of the staff that I know there. And one of the fascinating conversations I had with them was, look, you do realise you've now got the capacity to create the world's only global address list of professionals, don't you? And you could hear them go, scribble, 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 scribble. You do realise that you could get Outlook in front of 468 million people and get rid of that horrible messenger thing that LinkedIn's got, don't you? Scribble, 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 scribble. So I think the jury's out. The one heartening thing, which everybody I've spoken to has said about me, is that they don't want it to turn into an advertising channel, which is good news. All right, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's not going to work. And secondly, it's not going to work. You're going to ask a question.
Your story, you're an accountant.
Yeah.
And ended up doing this.
Because I like talking to people more than I like numbers. I'll confess at this point, my annual reviews in accountancy always went like this. You do fabulous work, James, but could you please wear quieter socks or ties? I had personality leakage.
My company earlier this year said it was a really good idea. A lot of us have in premium and they paid for it. So this day, I've got no idea what that does.
Okay, so the best analogy I can give you, LinkedIn is the bicycle in the garage, yeah? Congratulations, sir, you have a £9,000 carbon Pinarello top-of-the-range Tour de France racing bike in the garage that no one's pedaling properly. What the upgrades on LinkedIn do is they extend what you can do for free, all right? So I very purposely today talked about free stuff, all right? Because you can do so much with the free stuff people don't realise. The paid-for stuff gives you even more. And the big reason I would pay for LinkedIn, and please stick this in your heads, please, when you have 5 people per day looking at your LinkedIn profile, all right, it's a result, yeah? Because you're talking to people, you're giving people a reason. And it's a really nice counterpoint for me, because LinkedIn's going to show you 5 people a day for free, all right? Now, in my case, if I get 20 people a day, can't use my toes, yeah? And I've got a free LinkedIn account, I'm only going to see 5. And LinkedIn's going to go, we're not showing you the other 15, James. Pay. Yeah? Now, I pay for LinkedIn so I can see who's looked at me, because obviously if they've looked at you, there's a reason why. And that's the main advantage to paying, all right? Other than that, you get a little badge. That's worth £400 a year. You get to see the 3rd level profiles, which is kind of pointless, because if you're in a group, you see them anyway. You get some more search filters. 75% don't work very well, but 25% do. So that's like company size and things like that. That's if you can't use the words PLC or limited in company names. Oh, and it'll email searches to you as opposed to you looking at them on the screen. You're welcome. I'm not running away. Oh.
Yeah, at the beginning of your talk, you showed us some interesting.
No.
Hi.
Hello.
At the beginning of your talk, you showed us some interesting statistics
yes.
about companies in
Oxford,
Oxfordshire and directors and stuff. How do you find all that
I
stuff?
used the search. Big empty box at the top left-hand side corner.
And you literally just write
What I'm after?
Companies in Oxford?
No, it's a little bit more in depth than that.
Okay.
So, welcome to an hour of a training course now. How to use the LinkedIn search, yes? Summarised in this. Yeah, if you basically type in what you want, you'll find it. But there is some logic and some layers in there to do so. I think on the free LinkedIn, that search is one of the best things, but it relies on a good network, a good profile, and talking to people.
Right, and when you say talking to people, do you mean literally finding their phone numbers? And
Oh, hell no, I'm not going to phone you if I don't know you out of the ether. Hello! Hey!
I
No.
don't understand.
Yeah, I'd talk to Tony and say, he seems like a nice chap, could you introduce me? Yeah?
Right.
Or I'd talk to the other people that I know you and say, you couldn't introduce me, could you? But this only works if you know the people you're connected to, hence saying connections are important.
Okay, so for example, if I'm looking for sports organisations
Yes.
in the United Kingdom,
Yes.
right,
Easy.
just sport, UK, done?
Sport, well, you can actually be a bit more elegant than that, actually, so to be honest. What sort of sports organisations?
Okay, say governing bodies of
Okay.
sports organisations.
Well, if you look for a governing body of a sports organisation, it'll only find people that have got the words governing body in their profile,
Right.
which will only work if they are smart enough to write that they are a governing body. Most people in a governing body will normally not say they're a governing body. They'll probably say they run the football association or something like that. So you might want to look for other things. So look for names in an organisation. Look for parts of names like FC for football club, for example, if that's what you want.
Oh, wow.
So you can get very elegant with this. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, that's quite useful. If you start to be elegant in terms of the outlooks and behaviours you mentioned before, hobbies and interests, you can also meet people that you have a great chance of getting along with, which is always a good start.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Right. One more. Last one. Last one, Stuart. There you go.
Can you block the anonymous viewer?
Okay, anonymous viewers. Okay, quick show of hands. Who gets agonised about anonymous viewers? Okay. Quick show of hands. Who goes on a train or a bus? Okay. If anybody looks at you on a train or a bus, do you run up to them and demand their name and who they work for? It's just the same, isn't it? If someone looks at you on a bus, you don't know who they are. Move on. If they're not going to show you, it's not worth it. If you're really concerned about it, yours for £7,500 per year, that level of upgrade on LinkedIn will tell you the anonymous viewers. Got to be honest, not worth it. Move on.
On that note, I'd just like to say, James, thank you very much.
You're very welcome,
Really
my friend.
excellent talk. And